everyone, and welcome back to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge. This is our third annual Black Youth Suicide Prevention Week, where we center everything around Black youth suicide. This issue is continuing to grow, unfortunately, one that I am super connected to. We've had suicide attempts increase in Black teenagers. We've had suicide deaths increase, unfortunately, for Black youth and young adults around the ages of 10 to 24. And so this is time that we set aside all of our content to Black youth suicide. And so today I am honored to have Miss Janiah Fields here with me. One of the things that we wanted to do and prioritize and to make sure that we're doing is that if we're not including young people's voices in the conversations that we're having, then we're not going to be able to move the needle. We're not going to be able to put things together, put things forward that particularly that our young people are going to resonate with and run with. And so with that, we have a powerful mental health advocate here with us. So let's welcome Janiah to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge. Good to have you on. Janiah and I met through a mutual acquaintance, Janelle Cubbage. Let's shout out Janelle.
Shout out Janelle.
Shout out Janelle.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
all the work that she does in this space.
Yes.
And so we got connected. I think we were on like something with her before, and I heard you talk, and I was like dynamic, like just dynamic. So I want you to just take a couple of minutes, take as long as you want, introduce yourself to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge.
Okay, so hi guys. I'm Janiah Fields. I am a junior psychology major with a minor in African American Studies at McDaniel College. So like Brandon said, I'm really passionate about like mental health advocacy, and shout out Janelle for also getting me into like suicidology and like suicide prevention, specifically in Black youth, which is something that I'm really passionate about. I feel like my experiences have really like impacted like how I view it and how I view how mental health kind of gets swept under the rug. Even in the media, you see homicides, you see black on black crime, you see neighborhoods being run down, but I feel like that same energy needs to be given to Black people suffering from mental illness and depression and suicidal thoughts, suicidal behavior. So I'm just, doing all that I can. I feel like there's always more to do, so do it. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here and have a conversation about it today.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're glad that you're getting into this space, that you're passionate about this. And where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore.
Hey, which side?
Um, West side, of course.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. I love it. I already knew, so that's why I just threw it out there so we can say it.
I'm a county girl though, y'all. West though. West.
Absolutely. So let's get into this conversation. So one of the things, like, let's dispel a couple myths, like just right off the bat. So a lot of people talk about young people now having so much, right? You all have so much. You all have access to so much.
Yes.
You can get anything you want on your phones, like all these things that we, talk about with young people now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what the reality is that we know our young people are struggling with stuff. So, like, from your perspective, like, what are some of the things that, like, young people are dealing with, like, Black children are dealing with that, like, we're not talking about or giving them credit for?
Yeah. Okay. So starting with that point on like we have so much, I feel like there are a lot of implications to that we don't talk about, because that means that we're exposed to a lot more and knowledgeable on a lot more, and that in itself can be really draining and depressing. Like knowing that like you have a target on your back because you're Black and seeing it, like we're seeing it on TV, we're seeing it on social media, it's hashtags, it's everywhere, and knowing that and that paranoia and fear that anything can happen to you at any given moment just because of the way you look, just because people hate you, is a lot. And it's a privilege, for people to not know what that feels like, but for the people that do, understanding that kids as young as 5 can understand that. Why am I being treated differently because I look differently?
Mm-hmm.
And so, keeping that from your kids or like invalidating that really is not helpful. Like, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had because external factors can impact your mental health. Like, things like that, seeing that at any age being criminalized for, we've seen it for playing with toy guns, for,
Mm-hmm.
being in this space or wearing certain things, being dress coded. All of that is happening to kids in elementary school and middle school. So having those conversations and, acknowledging that social media can be to our detriment and all of these things that we do have also play a part in, the decline in mental health or mental wellness is also really important. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you hit some really good points. Like there's, you know, information now. It could be information overload
Yeah,
now, right? Like
yeah,
seeing so much of that. The things that we already knew it
yeah,
kind of exist,
yeah.
but it's like always right there.
Yeah, it makes it real. And like, a lot of these kids have phones and stuff. And I think that it's important, because we living in a crazy world right now. So like, I get it. But also like, you can't keep things from your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's, they're gonna be exposed to it by their friends or, with the quality of like school and like the education system right now, like they're going to be exposed to it. So having that conversation so that they know that it's not a them thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the system. It's a whole bunch of different things that's like working against black kids and kids of color. So reassuring them and like affirming them at home is really important and not minimizing what they go through at school or
Yeah.
bullies. Now bullying is like on a greater scale because now you have people
Yeah.
hiding behind computers. You have them talking about your kids on Instagram, on
Right.
TikTok, on these places that's supposed to be fun. And they talk about what you're wearing or how your body looks. And,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, manifests itself into something much bigger. So I think that that's definitely something that, needs to be talked about too in this conversation of mental health and suicide awareness.
Yeah, I love it too. I love how you like articulated all of those like different nuances and how they like work together.
Hmm.
Like we talked about that before, like when back when we grew up, not to be like super old. Um, back when we
Back
grew
in the
up,
day.
back when we grew up, but like back when we like you had a fight with somebody, it stayed in the neighborhood. That's it.
Yeah.
Fight. That's it. But now you fight, you lose in school. It's at least 10 people that recorded it.
Yeah.
It's getting uploaded and it could go viral.
Yeah.
Like that's a different thing we didn't have to worry about,
Yeah.
and it's something that's like ever present
Yeah.
for you all, right?
Hmm.
And so with that, like you talked about making sure that we're not like trying to hide everything from our
Yeah.
kids, like giving them the trust to do that,
Yeah.
and that young people are like looking for that, right? They're looking to be supported. Like from your perspective, what are some other things that matter to young people that we can use to help support them? Like, what are some pieces besides like, having a space to talk it out? Like, how can we better support our young people?
One thing that I think, and I talked to Janelle about this. Shout out to Janelle again. But like nurturing and investing in like creative spaces and
Mm-hmm.
different outlets is so important because communication isn't just verbal.
Mm-hmm.
You can communicate through movement. That's like one of our primary like means of communication, like before we learn words and phrases and stuff. So investing into like whether it's dance or like art or even sports and stuff, you can't expect everybody to just be ready to articulate what they're feeling with their mouth. Like a lot of people, it takes them a long time to learn how to use their voice. And you can't be upset at people for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially people who aren't given space to use their voice. So a lot of people don't learn it until like later on in life. So, finding other means to communicate with people is so important because it shows that you care. You know, if you can't speak to me, give me what I need to give to you so that I can understand you. Like a lot of the time people just want to be understood and heard. And if I can't do it in the conventional way, like let's find other ways to like work this through and give me other ways to express myself. Like for me, like I was really timid and like scared of my own shadow.
I can
But
never see that now.
crazy, right?
Right.
But I did acting at the Arena Players on McCullough Street, and like
Oh, that's cool.
that like completely like changed my perspective on like being myself, but also the fact that like these characters and like these roles that I played, like they all really were a part of me, like parts of myself that like aren't really acceptable to show. So to have that space where I could like emote, and it's like, yeah, she's playing a character, but like that's her. Like parts of that is her and who she wants to be or who she is when nobody's looking. Like that was really important for me. Not only just like expressing myself, but also learning how to use my voice like outside of just like creative expression or expressing in a way that isn't just like verbal. So yeah.
No, I love that, and shout out to another West Baltimore fixture, the Arena Players. Um,
Shout out Miss Orange. Yes.
that's awesome. That's also like just like talking through that, like giving our young people like that creative spaces, like to communicate and to really like find that inner voice. And so those are some really good ways that we can be supportive. From your perspective, is there anything that we are getting wrong? Is there anything that we have that we think like, oh yeah, like we'll just keep doing these things and like everything is fine? Like, are there things that like we should, think about or do differently, like as we're trying to like, put up things to help kids with their mental health or suicide prevention? Like, are there things that we need to rethink?
So it's a few things, but I want to start with the fact that sometimes people think that once the damage is done, it's done. And like that you can't correct yourself. Like, oh, it's already I'm in too deep. So, you can't correct it, especially with parents. Like, well, I've been doing this and I raised you da 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 like this. You know what I mean? And they turned out fine. Not really. Like, not really.
Right.
And just because that worked for one person, like we are all individuals who function in different ways. Like our brains all work differently. Our experiences are all different. So like understanding that you have to correct things. A lot of people don't get it right on the first try.
Right.
Like at all. Like parenting, I understand it doesn't come with a handbook. So with that, like if you're gonna do it again, like always find ways to improve. Like always hear people out. Like because I'm sure if you ask, like, is there anything that I could have done better or think, I'm pretty sure people will give you an answer. This might have bothered me. So take the time out and correct that. You know what I mean? Don't leave it at a, well, thanks for letting me know. Like,
Yeah.
like
Right.
actually like actively try to be better. Like, yeah. Another thing I would say is understanding that you are a parent, yes, but you're also an individual. Like you're a person. Like those two things like are simultaneous. Like, and people are like, well, I'm your mom, so, or I'm your dad, so listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, but you're also a person who understands that certain things hurt my feelings because they would hurt your feelings if someone other than me said it to you. You wouldn't take that from somebody who wasn't me. So why would you dish it out to me? You know what I mean? Why would you say that to me? So like understanding that like, yes, you are my parent. Therefore I am your responsibility, but I'm not property. So you have to treat me like a person. Treat me as if, you were me,
Yeah.
So I think that's something. And then like last one, because we could go all day. we
We
could.
getting a lot wrong.
We
we got work to do.
We could go all day. But like the importance of like healing things that you didn't even know hurt you, and like that requires you to really take a look in the mirror and like really assess things, because people sometimes don't even realize they're hurting or things hurt them, and you're like, yeah, like that little thing, he took my lollipop in 4th grade, but now I don't like sharing things. But like that's valid. It's valid. It could have hurt your feelings, and you have to like really take a deep dive into that, because like, you know, they say like then you start bleeding on people who didn't hurt you in the first place, and that's not fair. Like, so really healing so that you can not only teach your children to heal, but treat them in a way that's like healthy, like, you know, and I don't know, just trying to move forward, like always trying to better yourself. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you can't be better. Like you haven't like, oh, that's it, I'm a parent, like that's all there is. And like there's always room for improvement. And if you're not going to be better for yourself, at least be better for your kids, because like it's a rough world out there. Like they're going to get a whole bunch of ridicule from people and hatred from the outside world. So you being hateful and, you know, judgmental doesn't make their skin tougher. It just makes them feel like nobody appreciates them. Like you know, like that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like I'm preparing you because they're gonna be worse to you out there. No, like I feel like that's a very unhealed perspective. Like I'm gonna hurt you worse so that they don't hurt you as bad when you get out there. No, you affirm your kids so that they know that what's going on out there has nothing to do with them. Like so that their self-esteem is intact. So when I go out there and people say things to me, well, my mother said that I'm great. My mother said that I'm beautiful. I'm the smartest one in this room because I believe it, because my parents told me so. So no matter what space you walk in, I know who I am because that's who I've always been told I was. Like, so yeah.
Do you want to take the show? Like, do you want to have this show? I feel like I don't need the podcast. So like, why am I doing this?
You said you wanted to chat. Let's chat.
Let's chat. No, I mean, I can't even think of where to pull from what you said. But like the piece that, first of all, as a parent, I feel like I'm sitting here like, what is the last thing I said to my kid? Like, I'm sitting there, I'm convicting myself. I'm like, am I affirming them, baby? But the thing that you said about like that you were saying, like it come like that idea of like, I'm gonna make you tough by like throwing these things at you that aren't necessarily helpful to prepare you for a world where now that I'm out there, there is no safe space. Like I don't feel like I can go home and get those things that affirm me. Mm-hmm. And so now a person, like a child, is just like searching like for those things. Like, and you said like that was from an unhealed perspective. And I think that was incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. I was just having a conversation about that actually. And like in the Black community, this idea of like struggle love and struggle hustle, like, and it's very much rooted in like slavery and this idea that we have to work, you know, so much harder and like, oh, it'll all pay off in the end. I mean, like at what expense, you know? Because, you know, they're just gonna like gift wrap it in resiliency, like, oh, you're so resilient and all of this other stuff. But it's like really it causes more harm than good. Because yeah, sure, I'll get what I want or I'll get there, but now I'm anxious and cracking under pressure and burnt out. Like, it should never be like that. Or I'm my own worst critic, which I mean, it's normal. But, you know, to the degree that a lot of like Black people are like honestly feeling like they aren't even deserving of certain things, or like Black children who feel like they shouldn't be in certain spaces, like academically or professionally, like, yeah. And I feel like, you know, you gotta unlearn that, and that starts in the home for real.
Listen, whenever you get a book, I'm gonna buy it. Whenever you get a podcast, I'm gonna watch it. Like,
okay.
This is really good stuff. And so I think too, like one of the other perspectives that you bring of like like being in this work is, and being so young with this, like you have a connection to like to younger people, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, if there is a young person that's like listening to this, like, what are your words of encouragement for them to like go find support if they're like struggling with their mental wellness or suicidal ideation? Are there any things, like any words of encouragement that you would drop for them?
Um, it's a bad day, not a bad life. Like, really though. Like, cause I've been there. You have bad days, and sometimes they're consecutive bad days, and it's hard to like see the bigger picture. Like, very much was like that for a while for me, and I'm like, but now I'm here talking to y'all. So like, I'm a living example that it's just a bad day, not a bad life, and take that and you encourage other people that is not a bad life, just a bad day. Like, because that's so important. Be the people that you wish you had. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know how it feels, so now do something about it. Like, because there are other people feeling exactly how you feel, and they aren't as fortunate to come out of it because they don't have anybody that they feel like understands it. So if you can, be that person for other people. Um, I would also say, like, don't think of it as weakness to get help. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs somebody. Like, we are social creatures. Like, you need to talk. Like, you can't carry the burdens of like growing up. If we're talking about people of color, racism, and marginalization, like, nobody expects you to carry that alone. Anybody who carries that alone, like, that's a dark place to be, like, truly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, those two things I think are pretty
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely. So it's nuts, but we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So obviously, I'm gonna have you back.
Of
So
course, I'd love to
we
be
gotta
back.
make sure to do that. We didn't get enough time. But are there any last things that you just want to share connected to this topic? Are there any resources you want to share, or any ways for people to get connected to you?
Yes. So the Black Mental Health Alliance is having their annual youth summit on October 28th. So you should definitely come out and check it out. And you can find out more information on their Instagram for their youth page, which is at Young Black Minds Matter. So definitely should come. There's gonna be a rage room, which is really fun. And it's like hip hop themed and like art themed. So come get some free swag, hear a word, have some performances, food. Yeah. And also 988. Like, if you ever feel like there's no one to talk to, or you are having a bad day or crisis, you don't even have to like be suicidal. Just like you're having a bad day, you could always call 988, and you could even text it if you don't feel like talking. So, yeah, use that.
Absolutely. Shout out to 988 also as well.
Hmm.
So Janiyah, thank you so much
Thanks for
for doing all
having
that. And
me.
please don't let anybody ever take away your voice. You are so needed in this
Thank
space.
you.
And we appreciate everything you bring to the table.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you all. Continue to check out the Black Mental Wellness Lounge and subscribe if you haven't already. To stay tapped in throughout the year.